And then we have to, actually, we're going to gather input from all of you on certain areas, and then we can open it up for more dialogue after that. Naomi, I don't see the option to create breakout rooms. Are you going to do that, or?
It's up to you. Under more with the 3 ellipses, that's where the breakout rooms are.
Yeah, can you make me a host or co-host?
I did.
I don't have that option.
You don't have that option? Okay.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Do you show the button on yours?
It's not the button, it just says under more, but let me make you the host. See if that helps. How about now?
Yeah, I see it now.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay.
Awesome. Oh, people are waiting.
So if you're the host, you have to admit
Yeah, I
them?
have to admit everybody. Okay. Can you be you can't have co-host?
Can you make me the co-host?
Yeah. That way you can let people in.
Sure.
All right.
There. Ooh.
How you doing?
I'm trying to figure out how to want. Okay.
We're getting to know Sandra up close and personal.
Yes, you are. Oh, when you're recording the screen.
It's okay, we'll cut that out.
Okay, thank you.
We'll give it like 1 or 2 more minutes, and then we'll do some really quick intros and get right into it. Joe, are you there too? I see Tamara on my screen.
Yes, I'm here.
Is there?
Hey.
Ooh.
How about a couple opening remarks from our board members, Tamara and Joe. Tamara sits on the PTA Council Committee, and Joe sits on the Superintendent Advisory Committee. And thank you both. Joe, Tamara?
Sure. Good afternoon, everybody. Super glad to see a few familiar faces. And I'm looking forward to having this chat with you. I'm really interested in hearing your feedback. And moving forward, I'd like to, Dr. Miyashiro and I have talked about moving forward, making this more of an open dialogue that we continue as we do this type of learning. So things are changing. That part's exciting. I'm a little tired of staying home, and maybe you feel the same way. I think we're all ready to live again, but maybe life will look a little differently going forward. So anyway, we're just really glad you're here.
Thanks, boss. Joe?
She's got mute on.
You need to unmute yourself.
There, can you hear me now?
Gotcha.
Hi, everyone. It's so great to see everyone's faces here. And I do recognize some of you, and others I'd love to get to know soon. I am actually excited in this season that we are in. Definitely different, definitely unique, but the great thing is that it really does open us up to a lot of new and unique opportunities. And one of the directions that I always wanted to go in is really just kind of jumping more into the technology of doing things doing things a little remotely from home. And as we do that, I think we're a little bit ahead of the game, but I'm sure we'll talk more about that with David and the others. So welcome. Thank you for coming today.
We will have more meetings as we move forward to get more immediate feedback week to week. And I think we'll try to keep the agenda smaller and the meetings shorter. So more frequent, but not as long. I think this one will probably take the whole hour because there's lots of questions and updates since the last time we connected. April Adler sent a list of questions from her parent community, and I'm sure some of the same questions will be things that your communities have asked of you, and then we'll have time at the end for Q&A. So why don't we have staff introduce themselves to see who's here and who's listening. We'll go through the questions from Blossom Valley. I'll share my screen, and then we'd like to get some update and feedback from you on the 3 things that we're doing in terms of meal service, free childcare, and distance learning. And so with that, staff, would you mind introducing yourself and sharing your role?
Well, I'll start. I'm Sandy Malden. I'm the guidance technician at Madison Elementary.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody. I'm Michelle Hayes. I'm Assistant Soup for Personnel Services. Super excited to have you all with us today.
Karen, Ed, Scott.
Good afternoon, I'm Karen Minshew, Assistant Soup in Ed Services.
Thank you.
Ed
Hello.
Hidalgo. Sorry. Ed Hidalgo, I support superintendent and the team with the World of Work and Innovation Engagement.
And Scott and John.
Hi, I'm John Gerton. I'm the Chief Technology Officer.
I'm Scott Bucksbaum, Assistant Superintendent of Business Services. Welcome.
Thank you. Hey, Omar.
Hello, this is Omar Mafaji, Community Liaison from FACE Office on Kampala Middle School. Nice to meet you all.
Great. Anybody else? Okay. So I'm going to share the screen here. Thank everybody for joining on. And Karen, a few of these for you. I changed the order of these questions because they're kind of grouped together in terms of curriculum. Karen, why don't you take the first 4 questions from this group, and then Naomi can type in notes as we speak too.
Okay, so the first one, is there a way for parents to track the status of their child's progression or completion of assignments on the playlist? Yes, in terms of progression, teachers can track on several of the applications programs that we have for you to see exactly how much was done on iReady each day. As a parent, we can't do that, but teachers can. We also developed, a facilitator in our office developed a checklist of what you can ask your student of follow-up questions and kind of checking in to see if it's done. Can you look on the back end and see check boxes for each assignment? You cannot, because they're all different programs. Even for a teacher, they're checking in different areas. So it would be checking in really with your student, but we do have a checklist that was developed that parents can ask their children about.
Thank you.
Question 3, what will next year's curriculum be adjusted to help students catch up if there are gaps this year? Yes, and the way we're going to do that is through personalization. The primary program, it was new for staff and students. We were planning it for next year and in the middle of a pilot this year. It's called iReady. It is a standards-based program that adapts to where your student is, your child. So it'll move up and down based on your students' responses. So how will that cover gaps from this year, next year? We will take a diagnostic at the beginning of next year, which will start students where they are in standards in math and ELA. So it'll move up or back depending on if there are any gaps. Oh, I loved question 4. I knew this was coming, and this is why we built the playlist. So if you are working with your child and you are doing the playlist and you go, this is not enough. We need more. You need to contact your child's teacher and say, we need more, or something more personal. If your child is struggling with any of the programs or the work, you need to contact the teacher and say, hey, we're really struggling with the math assignment, or many teachers are adding additional assignments. Please give feedback to the classroom teacher on what your child needs, and you can do that week to week. This is the question I needed from you. So David, I don't know where in this meeting, but we need to hear from parents on the topic of grading. I'm gonna meet with, hold on just a second. Sorry, that's my 8th grader. We need to hear feedback from the parents on the call today about grading during this time, during these 8 weeks. What are you looking for as a parent? We want your perspective as a stakeholder. We're gonna meet with teachers tomorrow on this topic, but we wanna hear from admin, we wanna hear from teachers, and we wanna hear from parents. So we have some ideas, but we'll come back to that.
Why don't we make that the first breakout, and we'll do that now just to test it.
Okay, sounds good.
So parents, we're going to use a feature called breakout rooms, and it's going to randomly assign you to a smaller group. And the directions will be to choose one person that will be the spokesperson for your room. So after everyone has a chance to share and introduce yourself to each other, the question is how should students be graded during distance learning? And how should that be reflected on a report card? From your perspective, what would be the best answer? So again, I'm going to put you in the breakout rooms, and then as a group, elect a spokesperson that will share out who was in the room with you, and then your collective dialogue around perspectives on grading and report cards this year. Sound good?
David, how much time are we going to have in our breakout rooms?
For this one, we're going to be succinct. I'm going to do 8 minutes. How's that?
All right, 8 minutes, you got it.
Okay, and I'm going to create 5 rooms, about 6 or 7 people each. And you should see a link now to join a breakout room. And we'll see y'all back in a little bit. I think we have 5 rooms.
I don't remember what room we were in.
I actually have them up here so I can see. Oh, they might disappear, huh? You are in room 4.
Okay. Anybody in name in room 1, or will they? Do you think they'll remember?
I have it up here. I can just read it.
Okay, I think that's probably the best way, because
Yeah.
I'll just be calling out a number. Is everybody back?
Let's see. It looks like. Okay. Breakout room 1 was Cristina Caballero at Hidalgo Joe Alegria, Latricia Austin, and Omar. Do you have a spokesperson, room 1?
Dr. Miyashiro, I was asked to be the spokesperson. Well, I'm very, I was honored to be the spokesperson for this group because Miss Austin and Miss Caballero had some, really everyone is Miss Austin, Miss Caballero, Omar, and then Trustee Alegria were all participants in the conversation. I think 2 themes that I took from Miss Caballero, Miss Austin, parents that have students at Bostonia, and then I think several other schools. Miss Caballero has a number of students, different grade levels. But the theme that was returned back from those parents in particular was that based on their situations, that their students are highly engaged, highly involved with their schools, with their academics, and that grades in a sense would not drive their engagement based on the students that they are and kind of the culture that they have at home. And at the same time, what they've heard from families throughout the district is that the added pressure and stress that grades can bring to a school environment, because in some cases parents are working multiple jobs, and then schoolwork is having to happen on the weekends where they can really get engaged. This additional layer of stress has been a hardship for them. In addition, as we're gaining some sort of comfort with this new system and this process, it seemed, and Miss Austin shared this in particular, that grades are best when there's a clear structure. And right now there seems to be a different structure for many families as they're gaining more comfort with this new model, with this system, and just life in general under COVID. So those were the concepts from those two parents. And then Omar chimed in, and I think what he's hearing from parents is, we want to be able to understand what our kids are doing, if they're understanding material, are they doing their work? And in many ways that grades allow those families to understand, what is my child doing? Are they doing their work, and are they progressing? One thing that we started to have some conversation around at the end was an agreement that there could be other ways to show progress that aren't necessarily connected with grades. And team, if there's anything in addition to that that I missed, please do chime in. But I believe I tried to capture all the essence of our dialogue, and I thank you all for it.
Thank you, Ed. And breakout room 2 was Brett, Elizabeth, Tamara, Tammy, and Terry. You have a spokesperson?
I was chosen as the spokesperson. I'm Elizabeth. I'm from WD Hall. We spoke about competency-based learning, about how instead of grades, the children's progression in, say, whatever grade they are to the next grade would be based on how they understand and can use the lessons that they are being taught. We also talked about how the parent-teacher, or the teacher, well, teacher, student, and parent relationship is very vital in that, where open communication between the parents and the teachers is necessary to keep the kids progressing, and the ability for a teacher to have one-on-one time with each student. My third grader does that with her teacher, and so the teachers can to focus on what each child needs help with, to keep them moving forward with their lessons. Am I missing anything, Tamara? You had lots of notes.
Thank you very much. In room 3 was April, Ashley, Janie, Linda, Michelle, and Sandra.
I have been voluntold that I'm the spokesperson. We had Lawson Valley, Las Cochas Creek, where I'm from, Madison, Forte. I think I got everybody there. If I didn't, I apologize. But a number of us had already had like PTA meetings with our other members who had heard from other parents. So we're not necessarily just representing our own opinion at this point. We've heard a lot of feedback from them. We seemed pretty universally to feel that the kids need to have some kind of accountability, and that perhaps grades as in the traditional grading structure is too stressful for them, but that the kids who are actually putting in some form of effort, even just logging in, appearing, doing some of the work, that maybe a pass-fail structure would just show that the kids who are there doing it need to be identified and accepted, and the kids who are not, really, they need some kind of accountability for that. So fairly across the board, we're hearing that we want some form of accountability structure for the kids, not as harsh, shall we say, as the ABCD kind of thing, but definitely, yes, you're at least trying, and that gives the parents some form of understanding of what their kids are getting also. There's progression, there's accountability, there's everything that they need in order to say, yes, we're actually educating our kids at home and feeling like we're doing something. Did I get all that, everybody? I think chime in if you didn't.
I appreciate that you said that you're representing the views of all the different people who have given you feedback. That's awesome. And room 4 was Jennifer, Jemima, Karen, Sabrina, and Sherry. Room 4?
Sherry, you're muted.
Unmute yourself. Sorry, I was trying to not have you hear my phone ringing here at work. So we have elementary and middle school represented in our group. The consensus for middle school, and this was myself talking to a variety of parents from elementary and middle school. All the middle school parents that I talked to, being the only one in our group, was that the work seems to be super easy. The kids are getting it done in an hour to an hour and 15 minutes, and then there's Zooms. Parents don't want grades to drop. I know in particular for myself on this topic, Tyler worked really hard for the first 2 trimesters to get all A's. So I'd hate for this to drop him without regular instruction. For children with IEPs, they're worried about the struggle of moving to 6th grade without that end of year preparation, and then also having their aide working with them to get work done. The teachers are doing great. We appreciate their hard work in getting this done. We learned from Karen that iReady can be individualized for the children. So it was brought up that at the middle school level, they're not necessarily working with all of their teachers, they're only working with their advisor. And so when you have a group of kids that's together that wasn't all the honors or accelerated group, I don't know if there's something that can be done about that or who preps that work, but the kids that are in honors are doing math that they did months and months ago. So that, I think I covered everything group, right?
Thank you. And in group 5, there are 3 assistant superintendents, Scott, Michelle, and John, with Chrissy and Carla. Room 5?
I was in room 5. Carla, do you want to share your thoughts first?
I feel like between me and Chrissy, we kind of had similar ideas as all the other rooms. Chrissy is from Blossom Valley, and she has a couple more, I guess not problems, but challenges with a lot of her parents. You know, she has parents that are in Descanso and don't have access to internet, so there's really no way of grading. You know, grading paperwork or them getting access to Chromebooks or packets. And I had kind of a similar view to everybody else, that rather than doing, you know, A, B, C, D, E grading, kind of doing something regarding their progression. You know, how much they log on, you know, how easy is the work, whether they're progressing as things get harder. As some of these people were talking, it did dawn on me that some of the work that I know my daughter's doing is really easy for her, and I feel like it's not pushing her to the, you know, the level that she was at before all this started. So it's kind of a, you know, a thin line, because I get what Chrissy is saying as well, is we also have a low income demographic. So there have been a lot of parents that have not been able to get access to internet for their Chromebooks, and maybe necessarily don't have a way to get out to the schools to get paper packets that the teachers have been bringing out for them.
Great. Thank you.
Chrissy, did I miss anything?
Okay, I'm changing the rooms a little bit to have staff be together and give more talk time for parents. Okay, thank you for that. Karen, did you get enough there? Would that help you?
That was really helpful. And so I'm going to take the feedback we have that was just shared, and we're going to be meeting.
Yeah, that was pretty much my main point. That was it.
Great. Okay, so three of the things, actually, no, there's a couple questions we didn't get to. So if schools do not reopen this school year, will the district consider allowing the schools to do a drive-through promotion graduation for 5th and 8th graders following all social distancing rules? I had an eighth grader at Emerald email me asking me the same question, and so I Zoomed him and promised him we would do anything within the law that we can possibly do if we're not able to reopen to have you there. I think, Janie, we had the same conversation, right? And we have friends in the police department and sheriff department, so we'll see. The governor's orders were set to expire on May 1st or April 30th. And he was going to have a press conference today to introduce California's reopening plan, and he punted. So I think within the next 2 days, we'll hear directly from the governor the status of his executive order and if California is loosening any of the restrictions. And so you can follow him if you're following the governor live on Twitter and Facebook. The Office of the Governor, that's where the press releases come, and it's updated frequently. But we will also be sharing information immediately as soon as we have it as well.
David?
Yes.
We had, at our last PTA meeting, we had a question come up. Are all of the schools going to be required to do the exact same thing, or can each school do what seems appropriate within that school?
What was the case before?
Well, we've heard some people say that all of the schools will be required to do the same thing just because it's different this year. Before, I believe everybody just did their own whatever works for that school.
You know, I think that we could have a conversation here in this forum to talk about that as we get closer.
Okay.
That sound good? Because this is the group of leaders.
Okay, thanks.
And is there still any hope of returning to school this year? Other districts and even whole states have already said that they will be doing distance learning only for the remainder of the school year. There is still hope, and we've held on to that, but everything is right now at the governor's and the California Public Health's hands. And who knows? I mean, every time I made an announcement, like leading up to the pandemic, the rules changed. So not that I'm gun shy, but I'm not going to try to predict the future anymore. I will say that we're planning on reopening next year with social distancing and guidelines from the Department of Health and CDE. And I'll show you a video of our free childcare that we took from this morning to show what it could possibly look like when kids return to campus. Okay. 3 areas. The first one is meal distribution, and Cajon Valley decided that we would distribute at all of our Title I schools. We utilized volunteers for the first 5 weeks because we didn't have a work plan, and our volunteers came out in droves. Many of you were there too, thank you. But we don't know if it's perfect. So my question is, please share feedback from your parent community and our students regarding meal distribution. Is there something that we can do better or improve upon? And for this breakout room, we're gonna go really quick. And just gonna do 6 minutes. Should give each person just a minute to share if there's any feedback, positive or negative, regarding the distribution. Okay, and come right back in 6 minutes with a new spokesperson, someone who didn't share, somebody else in the room. Okay, so everyone get a turn. Oh, are you in a room with me? There should be a button for you to choose a breakout room. Do you see it? Oh, unassigned. Okay, I'll assign you. There you go. 1 and 4. Are you unmute yourself, guys? I'm not sure if it shut everybody off.
Yeah, I can
Yeah.
unmute.
Okay, good. All right. So feedback on child nutrition. And let's see, room 1 is Christina, Carla, Latricia, and Sabrina. Is everybody back? Not everyone's back yet. We'll wait a
Not
few
yet.
seconds.
They still have like 30 seconds.
Gotcha. How are we on timing? Was that enough time, April, in your room for everyone to talk, or was it too fast?
Yes, yeah, it was enough.
Okay, good. The next one might be a little bit more meaty. We talk about distance learning in the future. Okay, let's have room 1. And it's like Christina, Carla, Latricia, Omar, Sabrina, and Aaron.
Hi guys, so our spokesperson is me. Most of our families said that they felt like it was going really well. They're really appreciative of the teachers. A couple of conflicts that have come up at the different sites, we represented a lot of different sites in the little room, was number one, that some teachers, actually a lot of teachers, have been scheduling their Zoom conferences in the middle of lunch distribution. So people are having to choose between, okay, do I go to my kid's Zoom or do we go to pick up my kid's lunch? And the other thing is that they were finding that families didn't know that they could go to the closest school. They thought they had to go to their home school. And also that getting out every day, especially for families that are going to a school that's far, is a struggle. So if there were some way to consolidate the meals rather than an everyday thing, that might have helped them.
Thank you. That's great feedback. Room 2, Brett, Elizabeth, Tammy, Terry.
I am the spokesperson this time.
All right.
And similar conversation about, we think that food distribution is great. It's well received, a neat community event so far. Like kids will go just to see people, which is kind of fun. But the timing has been the only snag that we could really point out, and we kind of all agreed on, is the expectation of when Zooms are going to happen. And that is kind of it's just kind of a surprise when people say, oh, we got a Zoom now, you know, or whatever, certain teachers, certain specialists. And sometimes that runs right in the middle of pickup. So that was really our feedback as well.
Thank you. Room 3, April, Ashley, Janie, Linda, Michelle.
Okay, so I'm the spokesperson this time around. Everybody is very thankful that the district is continuing to offer the food service. Very thankful. One problem that did come up was that maybe we can offer a peanut-free allergy lunch option. That might be something to consider. Also, very, very helpful that the children do not have to be present. That's been a game changer, especially for a few of myself included. My son doesn't always want to get in the car and go get lunch with me. So that was all.
Thank you. Room 4, Angie, Christy, Jamima, Sandra, and Sherry.
So I am the spokesperson again. We had connection issues, so everybody was kind of in and out of that one.
Okay.
A couple of things, the weekly supply, or maybe a few days at a time for our schools, like, is it Rio? No, Las Cochas, that's pretty far out. They're having to drive into Rios to get them. So they were asking for a couple days at a time, if not a week at time. There was a question about schools other than Title I, like Fuerte, Avocado, RSD, Hamishaw. I'm not sure if in the new setup today, if one of those schools, I think Hamishaw is doing lunch, but if there was a possibility of one of those being able to do it. And then very positive that it's super easy to drive in, get them, and drive off and continue your day.
Awesome. We're going to be sending some take-home activities and workbooks also in the near future that will probably go directly to all sites. I'm not sure because principals have been showing up to work. Okay, and was that was the last room? Okay, great. So screen share. The next item is a little bit more complicated. It's our distance learning. Here's some pictures that Naomi grabbed off social media from the last few weeks. It's so great to see everyone's pictures online. And so, Becky Fryer shared this post. What is something you actually like about distance learning? And I thought that that'd be a nice place to start. And these are some of the things that the students said. They're able to play video games during the day, able to play with my toys. I don't have to get up early. I don't feel rushed. I can work at my own pace. No setting alarms for wake up. I'm spending time with my family. And Becky's comments are, maybe some changes to next year with these answers. So a few questions. What's something that you actually like about distance learning that we might be able to continue or improve upon when we return to school? And what would you like to see improved upon as we continue development? What suggestions do you have? And I know it's been quick, but I'm gonna keep it to about 7 or 8 minutes for a discussion. And if we need more time, we can do that in the whole group. So that's what's something I like about distance learning and what are some feedbacks to improve. Hey, Gianna, how are you? It's such a great tool, the Zoom thing, those breakouts.
David, what do you think the opportunity is for kids to enroll in Cajon Valley during this time?
What do you mean?
I have a student that's been homeschooled, and just before all of this started, she wanted to, the mother wanted to see about enrolling her perhaps in one of our schools, but then everything kind of went to a screeching halt.
Yes, please.
Okay. So we're just going to keep moving towards that?
We're going to centralize enrollment and do it out of the district office
Okay.
to limit public exposure at our sites.
Okay. So should I just have the parent reach out to you kids? She was actually communicating with KUFAL, and I think it was one of the gals in the office. Maybe it was Heidi, I'm not sure. But just on the heels of it, everything just kind of stopped happening. Should I just have her call the district office?
Yep. No, wait, John, who should they call?
I think they should.
All right. I would say long range planning is the best.
Okay.
Dr. Monteiro, I spoke to Gina in the office a couple days ago, and she told me that they were still taking applications for enrollment. So
They are, but we are going to create a central place for new enrollment in
okay.
kindergarten. So that will still be an option, right, guys? Carla's question?
Yes.
I drop off? Okay, is everybody back? All right. Room 1, Christina, Carla, is it Latrecia? Is that right?
Patricia.
Patricia, hi, Patricia. Omar and Sabrina.
So I was selected as a spokesperson again. So we did have conversations from each person in the room. A big consensus was for the older kids, they want to see more World of Work incorporated into their distance learning. Latricia, sorry, is from Bostonia, and she had a concern about, because they are a language academy, she feels like they are not interacting as much in Spanish, and she does not want her student to lose everything that they've worked on over the past, year or 2 years, depending on how long the students have been there.
Yeah.
Omar had expressed that he is taking this opportunity to help his kids flourish in their native language, because they feel that they have, he had the opposite. He says that they've been in American school for 3 years. So he's taking this opportunity to help them increase their Arabic language. And then, I think a big consensus between the 5 of us is more engaging and more challenging work as far as the distance learning goes.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Room 2, Aaron, Brett, Elizabeth, Tammy.
Hi. I was voted in as the spokesperson. We kind of had the consensus that we all really enjoy the distance learning. One of the main points was because we have more family time. Brett mentioned that his kids have been doing a lot more different activities now because schoolwork gets done in 1 to 2 hours, or at least by noon, and they have plenty of time to go outside and play and do all these different activities. For me, myself, I enjoy the fact that during the lesson, if my kids need to take a break, they can take a break. We're learning on our own time and how it works for us. Let's see. And then Erin mentioned that she's enjoyed being able to do the lessons with her son so that she's learning right there along with them and, you know, still being involved.
Great.
And I think that's all my notes.
Thank you very much. Room 3, April, Janie, Linda, Michelle.
Hi, I'm Linda. I was selected. So I have 2 kids, and my daughter was just giving some feedback at her school and her friends. She went to Valhalla and now she's at Grossmont Middle College. So she was saying that some of the friends she's been talking to were saying that the time, the due date, that the teachers maybe should be giving a little more flexibility for due dates on things, and be a little bit more considerate about, you know, that this is a difficult situation. Some kids are really dealing with some depression and unusual home situations.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Breakout 4 is Angie, Chrissy, Jemima, Sandra, Sherry.
Lucky you get me again. So our group, we had a good discussion. The parents enjoy working with the kids and seeing what they're learning. For those that are lucky enough to be home, I wish I could, but so be it. Again, make it a little bit harder for some of the kids. Came up. The kids are liking getting the work done earlier, gives them more time to play, family time. One asked if it was possible to release the playlist earlier, maybe Mondays on Sunday, because she needs to prep the paperwork or the printouts, and half need to do it on Monday morning, especially if you got multiple kids. It makes it harder, it delays the learning. Some of the playlists came out today at 11, which makes it a little bit harder for families because it's already in the middle of the day. I know my sons came in at 9 today, so that was a little frustrating for him because he's now on a schedule to wake up at 8, do it, and then do his Zoom. But 11 was a tough start. It's a huge plus that parents are learning the computer systems while working with their kids, and that they're now properly able to check work to make sure that it's done, where before you might have just trusted that your kid was done, but now parents are getting that learning. It was consensus across the board that we're appreciative for how quick you guys were able to pull this together. We know other districts are still struggling. So that was a plus. And then Chrissy brought up, right as we were running down in our last 30 seconds, a one book, one school. So I don't know if you want to go to Chrissy and see if she could give you more explanation of what exactly she was talking about. I missed it all. Sorry, Chrissy.
Chrissy, do you want to come on real quick?
Sure. Can you guys hear me? Are my kids too loud in the back? One book, one school is a program where we could break it even down into grade levels, but if all the kids would have access, or the teacher would want to read, where all of the kids are participating in the same book. It's kind of like a extra thing that a lot of districts are doing outside of California.
I think we got most of that. Thank you.
Could you hear me?
Cut out just a little bit, but it's already 4 o'clock.
Hello.
I'm going to spend about another just 10 more minutes on the last item, free childcare, and not send to breakout rooms for time's sake, and we could just talk, and then if there are any burning questions, we'll do that. This week was really about the past, things we've already done to get feedback. The next time we get together, we'll talk about the future and get your input on August when we return to school. We have some ideas that we'd like to run by you. Okay, so last one today, I was at Chase Elementary School. These are pictures from Chase. This is day 1 of free childcare for essential workers. So they have STEM in your box activities, individual jump ropes and hula hoops. The kids are not forced to wear masks. All adults are wearing masks. The kids can if they want to, but they're not forced to. And then I wanted to share with you, this is a short video that shows not just the childcare, but what school might look like when we reopen in terms of social distancing.
Just really want to highlight our essential workers, our first responders, our grocery store workers, our healthcare workers, and we want to give back to them. Right now, we realize what a need there is for support in the community, and we want to lend a hand to these families by offering free childcare. So we realize right now how challenging it is for students to be home. They miss their friends, they're not seeing them and interacting with them each and every day. So we want to be able to bring that back to our program and have the kids interact while still social distancing. We will be following strict guidelines put forth by CDC, OSHA, and the Public Health Department. We want to make sure that we maintain social distancing while putting all these policies and procedures into place to maintain a safe site for our children and for our staff. So one of the most important things for our program is small class sizes. We will have very low student to staff ratios. Each classroom will have no more than 10 children, and staff and students will not be mixing and changing groups. So they'll stay with that designated group throughout the duration of the program. To minimize exposure and risk to the students, all parents will be required to stay off campus. They will be allowed to drop off and pick up right outside of the school. So each student will have their own designated space inside the classroom. They will have their own materials and supplies and activities that we will use throughout the day. All staff will clean hourly, and we'll have a cleaning crew come in and disinfect and clean each night. Our first site will be Chase Elementary School, but we hope to expand as the need increases.
Each day, we're going to provide activities that are modeled after our vacation camps that we provide for the district. Those activities will include arts and crafts, STEM activities, as well as World of Work modules. We are also going to be incorporating distance learning in the classrooms with the students while also maintaining social distancing. The Cajon Valley School District's Child Nutrition Department will be offering lunches to our students as well as a morning and afternoon snack. Our lunches and meal times will be outside, and students will be at tables while maintaining social distancing, but being able to interact with each other as well. Our program will be open daily, Monday through Friday, from 6:30 a.m. to 6 o'clock p.m., so that we can accommodate and help as many essential working families as we possibly can.
So I'm in law enforcement, and my wife is a nurse, and we have 2 kids, 2nd and 3rd grade. And when we heard of this program, it was really a relief for us because we've been it's been a little stressful for us not knowing exactly what we're going to do since we both work, and it's been a blessing for us.
We're excited to be able to offer this program to our students and bring that connection back to them each and every day. We would like to thank all the essential workers for all that you do and being a part of the Cajon Valley family.
And so that last question for the group, what have you heard from your families? What can we do better? What are your thoughts on childcare in general? San Diego Workforce Partnership identified childcare as the #1 issue in San Diego County in terms of workforce and getting everybody gainfully employed. So I'd be interested to hear your feedback. And I'll just open it up to anybody.
So just to go off the video, sorry, I did stop my video, but I have a concern for our school when it comes to that distant learning kind of video model, because we're supposed to be expanding into basically middle school. So we're bringing back 3 grade levels. And then number 2, we have a couple of students that right now, because of this whole thing, their parents have moved to Mexico. So because of this and because it just makes more sense for them to stay there than going back and forth. So what does that look like for our students where we have maybe a handful or more, because right now we can't even, we don't have communication with 60 students. Like what does that look like for our student schedule? Like how does that work? Because I was just looking, it's like 5 or maybe like 10 kids in a class, or maybe like we have 35 students in our 5th grade class, and we have 2 of those. So I'm just trying to wrap my head around what does that look like for Bostonia.
Yeah. Yeah, the guidelines right now are no more than 10 to 1. And in those classes, the ratio is actually 1 staff to 5 students. So there's 2 staff so they can take breaks and stuff. We're looking at partnering with the city of El Cajon to expand our campuses to include the rec centers and parks. Different ways that we can be creative to allow more kids to participate. And we'll talk more about the future the next time we get together, and really want to understand your comfort in terms of, I don't want to send my kid back to school yet until there's a vaccine, or, you know, we can manage it home for now, or we want to send everybody back. We really need to know so we can plan for the future, and that'll be the focus of our next call next week. Does this time work for everybody in terms of like a Monday middle of the day?
Works for me.
Yeah, me too.
It's good.
And then finally, one last question before we thank everybody. What hasn't been said or discussed yet that should be, that you were hoping to get out of this time? And then what information would be beneficial in a community-wide update following this call?
I think a community-wide update to all the families in the district would be great, to just tell families the reason why we haven't canceled school yet. And I think that's a really common question, is why hasn't Cajon Valley stopped school officially? Because there's still that hope that we might be going back.
Yeah.
Just to kind of put it out there that you're waiting to get some more information from the CDC, because if you cancel now, and then what if we can go back, and then
That's right.
what have we done?
The San Diego.
So I think that would be helpful.
Thank you. For this group, the San Diego High School District and Coronado District, they have the viewpoint that if we can come back for just 1 week and give kids graduation, then we're going to do it. And I think that that's the sentiment amongst everybody is let's not rule out hope, because it's hot now. We'll see. We'll see what governor says and see what the public health say. Anything else for today? We'll talk about the future next week and solicit you for agenda items and questions ahead of time too. Anybody else, cabinet, board, you want to say anything before we close the call? Thank you so much, everybody, for making time today. It's great to see you.
I would like to ask, like, what can we do for you? Especially, it seems like a lot of us are PTA. What can we do and ask our parents for you guys to get better feedback? Like, what can we do to bridge a gap between our parents and the district?
Actually, that's a great question. And Tamara, why don't you share next steps with the principals at each site? Did we lose Tamara? Maybe. Tamara will, oh, go ahead.
Sorry. So going forward, my task is going to be to connect with each of you, ask you to bring a parent group together, and we'll do a Zoom call with your principal and with myself and with your parent group. And so we'll do it similarly like we did today, but we'll try to focus on subjects that you guys help us create. So I'm imagining that this situation may be very different at Rios versus Emerald. So we'd like to be able to drill it down to something that's specifically related to your site, and then help answer questions and get feedback from your parents. And I'll help facilitate those Zoom calls along with your principals and hopefully with you.
Thank you. Yeah, what we discussed is more communication often, and as short chunks would be better for everybody. So we'll plan on this weekly meeting, and if you can make it, great. If not, feel free to nominate someone to step in on behalf of your school. And we'll continue district-wide updates and start regular site-based updates as well with Tamara.
Latricia, did that answer your question?
Yes, it did.
Perfect.
Yes, we'd love to have your help connecting with families and really understanding the needs and hopes for moving forward. Thank you so much, everybody.
I tagged you, David, in our PTA group. So when we have questions, I like tag you. I'm like, I can't.
That was great.
Please feel free to tag me as well, whatever it takes.
Okay, I have to add you. I will tag you because it's like they've been really, I'm like, oh, I can't answer this. No way.
Okay. Take notes.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.